it's become kind of a competitive space, and there's there's a ton of VC dollars being invested in sort of everything these days. I guess particularly Beluga, was it Beluga you pronounce it? Got bought by Facebook.
Yeah.
I think there's Fast Society. I don't know if you consider Kick a competitor. There's probably some more I'm forgetting.
There's a lot.
Yeah. so how do you think about that? How do you think about differentiating yourselves? Does it worry you that there's so much money going into all these things?
Well, I mean, for us, we've set out pretty much on what we were building from the start. We modify things based on user feedback. Not a whole lot, changes the course of things because we're pretty confident in the vision. Although we do listen continuously for feedback in that loop. But that it hasn't really changed much from any of the acquisitions or players.
Yeah, we're pretty straightforward when we say on day one we pretty much had a pretty solid vision of what we're going to be doing for the next 18 months, and we've stuck to that.
I think you're going to see a lot that differentiates. Like the brand stuff is one step forward.
The interoperability between data and SMS is something that's also really nice.
I'll tell you, putting that little flag up that said, we see you have a bad data connection. Do you want to drop down to SMS? That saved people. Like me, I was on SMS for 3/4 of South by because it worked so well. So it's things like that. It's really paying attention to little unique details. Like we also save your groups, the phone numbers into your address book. So when you drop down to SMS, they're already named. And we care a lot about our users.
Yeah. And I mean, in regards to so much money floating around the space and just in general, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it lights a fire under our ass, for one. There's a new competitor popping up pretty much every other day that is either totally copied or tried to replicate what we did with our SMS experience initially, or approaching it from more of a smartphone angle where it's very app-centric. So we get attacked from the bottom, and then we get attacked from the top down too. And it's a cool place to be right now. It's really inspiring.
You're kind of sitting at the apex of all of this really mobile location, this kind of concept of groups where there's this broadcast overload problem where we kind of look at it where when you're sending a message to 500 people or tweeting to the world, you kind of need to pull back what you might say, and it kind of makes conversations a little sterile. So being able to talk again in these private groups and really express yourself is a big edge, I think.
It's kind of contrarian in the sense that people were all saying privacy's dead, everything needs to be public.
That's crazy.
And so so I guess you guys don't
like
that.
My privacy might be dead.
If you want to, you're just not going to have much fun anymore. I mean, personally, I have a lot of fun in my private group. I'm not a good tweeter. I've come to realize that I'm not good at it. No, but I'm actually pretty good at GroupMe. I have fun. Yeah. So.
One thing that worries me is with all the money going into the mobile apps that you're going to start seeing what I saw in 2004, let's say, with social networks was all sorts of people paying for downloads, doing paid, carrier, whatever, paying for distribution. And so when you just have too much money going after problems which have probably, sort of network effects and things like this, you end up seeing sort of all of the marketing channels getting flooded with dollars. And just as someone who's both personally my own company and also things I've invested in doing mobile apps, that worries me that you won't see, necessarily the highest quality apps winning. Right.
Well, I mean, we can define winning there. I mean, it's really easy to go to Tapjoy and buy millions of downloads if you want, or it's if you have enough cash in the bank, it's really I don't know if it's really easy, but it's possible to force a deal down somebody's throat that's going to get you massive distribution. Yeah,
but the carriers, for example, want. My understanding is to get on their to get distribution with them, they want to be paid up front or something, right? I mean, that's kind of how that business works, and so.
Well, I mean, potentially, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, what really matters most is you can buy as many downloads as you want, but how are you affecting your users' lives, and are they actually engaged?
Yeah. Our engagement is, I mean, I think we said that we were doing 1 million texts in a day in February, and we're doing really well now.
Well, I guess the history, if you look at the social networks, I mean, Facebook is the winner, and they, I think, acquired most of their users organically, and they did it by focusing on the product, so it didn't seem to work last time.
Well, they stayed true.
Just buying users didn't seem to work. So
they stayed really true to their user experience. That really, you see MySpace growth, and then you see Facebook staying exactly with what they were doing. Such a clean interface. That wins in the end. So that's for us. Whatever we're doing, you're not going to see advertisements in GroupMe in people's faces. These featured groups are things that you choose to create, and we're going to really stay true to that user experience.